Hey, yo, what's up, YouTube, man? It's your boy, Action Jackson, man. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you guys my thoughts on what the Dallas Cowboys should do prior to the 2023 NFL Draft. So before we hop to the video, I would appreciate if you guys will like the video, subscribe if you are new, comment, and share my video with anyone who you think might enjoy my content, man. So hopping straight into it, man. The reason why I'm making this video is because obviously I think it will be beneficial that if the Dallas Cowboys just do a tad bit of work in free agency, it will make their draft process a little bit easier. And for all the 6 picks that they have in the 2023 NFL Draft, they can mostly go BPA. And if they want to go for needs, they can go for easier needs. So hopping straight into it, I think the first thing that they should address in free agency is adding a playmaker to this offensive side of the football. Obviously, as you guys know, that in that playoff game, once Tony Pollard went down and CeeDee Lamb was our only best offensive threat, it made it very, very, very hard for Dak Prescott to move the ball down the field on a down and out basis. So it was hard for him play in and play out for him to move the ball, with only CeeDee Lamb being his best weapon, and him having to make it work with a 34-year-old T.Y. Hilton. Noah Brown, who's been relegated as our wide receiver 4 ever since he's been drafted in 2017. Then Jalen Tolbert didn't hit the roster. Michael Gallup was playing on one knee, and Dalton Schultz isn't that dynamic tight end that we some of us hoped that he would be. So, like I said, first off, we want an outside receiving threat. And some options that I'm looking at right now, if you go onto spottrack.com, it tracks all of the upcoming free agency, so you guys can even look at this list that I'm looking at right now. But some viable receivers that I'm thinking that the Dallas Cowboys can go after is, number one, I would love for the Dallas Cowboys to go after a DJ Chark, who had a remarkable year this year with the Detroit Lions. He's 26 years old. And this past season, he played 11 games. He had 502 yards, averaged 16.7 yards a catch, had 3 touchdowns. He's going to retain market value, and his market value that you're looking at is going to be $9.5 million, which is very doable for the Dallas Cowboys, especially with them always crying about the cap and how they're pigeonholed into not making certain moves and not making certain big splashes because they always they don't like really signing anybody outside of their own. They only love signing their own, and when they do sign their own, they always give them big contracts, especially people like who made a difference for the Dallas Cowboys, like Zeke, Dak, Trayvon when it's time for him to get paid, CD, Micah, Amari Cooper when he was on our team. They always like to throw that in our face, like, oh, the reason why we can't go after these big free agents, like, oh, well, sometimes they throw it in the face, like, okay, yeah, we just did because we just signed Amari Cooper to a 5-year deal, $100 million contract, or, oh, yeah, we can't really sign anybody because we gave Dak Prescott a huge contract. That's your big free agent, shut up type things. Then they're always good for a hush signing. So if the Dallas Cowboys in the community always are, if we somehow find a way to all band together, and majority of us are saying, hey, sign this guy. Some of us wanted to sign Malik Hooker 2 years ago, and Dallas Cowboys, we all joined together somehow, and we was like, hey, like, we should go get Malik Hooker because we've been struggling at that safety position, and they went out and they did, and that hushed up a lot of people in the Dallas Cowboy community. So I think one of their hush-up signings, if they don't do the second one, which I'm about to go into my second part of what the Dallas Cowboys need to add, but DJ Chark will his market value can bring $9.5 million, which is really cheap, and I'm pretty sure they can have a contract where that spans over 3 years, so he can make easily like $3 million. So they can do anything like that, and have certain languages in the contract where he makes a certain amount of money. But DJ Chark is definitely somebody I'm definitely looking at if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. Another person that I'm looking at is Sterling Shepard. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about Sterling Shepard because he has been hurt a lot with the New York Giants, but that's what Dallas Cowboys love doing. They love going out there and taking a risk on injured players that were highly drafted. So, Sterling Shepard, he was top 100 pick. I believe he was selected in the third round in 2016 by the New York Giants. He's 30 years old. He had a short-lived season this year with only 154 yards. He averaged 11.8 yards reception. He caught one touchdown, but he was out for the season when he played against us week 3, which really stuck. Which really sucked for the game, but really for Sterling Shepard, because he was on pace really to have a solid year for the New York Giants if he didn't get hurt, and that would have been a nice weapon piece for Daniel Jones down the line. But definitely, Sterling Shepard is definitely somebody that the Dallas Cowboys can go pick up and sign, and can definitely sign him to a cheap deal, which can just give us depth at that wide receiver position. Another free agent signing that they could go out there and get is Randall Cobb. That's a familiar face. We can bring him back on a cheap deal. Marvin Jones. I'm not really too high on Marvin Jones. I wouldn't mind getting Allen Lazard neither. That can be like your Noah Brown replacement. He was really solid for for the Packers as well. He played 15 games. He caught 60 catches. He had 788 yards, averaged 13.1 yards reception. He caught 6 touchdowns. So that's a really, really solid receiver right there that you can get for about 2 years, vet minimum. Bring him in for Dak Prescott as like your 4th wide receiver when you want to go empty, or an injury happens, or whatever the case might be. Allen Lazard can easily step in and be a solid contributor. At best, he can be like your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 at most times. But this is definitely somebody that I would the Dallas Cowboys to go after and go target. Nicole Hardman, he's about to turn 25. He was injured a lot this year. His market isn't going to bear a whole lot. He could easily, again, he can be a special teams like guy. He can be, he was picked 56th overall. He was 2nd round pick in 2019. This is definitely somebody that the Dallas Cowboys can go after and go target. He's easily a 4-3, 4-4 guy, a definite burner that could take the top off the defense. Another person that we could put the ball in his hands quick. He can make a move. And, yes, he has had some injury concerns, but like I said, Dallas Cowboys love taking chances on that. Now, another thing Dallas Cowboys could do outside of being cheap and signing some of these free agents, which I think is feasible for the Dallas Cowboys, that they could sign and they don't have to give up any draft picks, and they love picks like that. Also, I forgot to mention Odell. I know a lot of people, they feel a certain way with Odell, and I understand, but I really felt like with his experience, him winning a Super Bowl, he would bring that Super Bowl mentality when he comes to Dallas. And also, like when we had Dez Bryant, if Tony Romo was acting up, wasn't giving him the ball when Dez was clearly open, or Romo needed to get going in the game, he needed that pep talk, he needed that fiery speech from a guy like a Dez Bryant, he got it. And I feel like that's what Dak Prescott needs every now and then, because really, who can really check him, on the offensive side of the ball, or really on the team, who can really check Dak Prescott, And we haven't had that in a long time. So I think having an Odell, with him having the experience, with him being a playmaker, yes, I understand he's had multiple leg injuries, but this was the first year. Yes, he had a leg injury, a major one in 2022. We had a full year rest and everything like that, and the Dallas Cowboys already expressed interest with him. So it also makes sense for the Dallas Cowboys to bring him in. He's that mentor. He's a playmaker, and he can also get on Dak. When Dak isn't playing right, or Dak isn't playing up to his standards, Odell can put him in check for a little bit, and who knows? We get a person like Odell. Odell brings something to the table himself, but then he also brings that fiery passion that he already brings on a game in, game out basis. He can bring that to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott can get out of a certain slump, and he can turn it on and get going, and that's what we need. So obviously those are receivers out in the free agency market that the Dallas Cowboys can go target. Now in the trade market, who the Dallas Cowboys can go get is like a DeAndre Hopkins. I would love to get a DeAndre Hopkins, and you can possibly get a day 2. You most likely have to give up a day 2 pick, whether that is a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick. But I've also been hearing some reports they can also give up a day 3 pick, mainly because of his age. DeAndre Hopkins is he's either 30 or 31 right now, and he's on an expiring deal. Cardinals are already accepting the fact that they're going to be tanking because they're not going to have Kyler Murray until late November, since he tore his ACL on that Monday night against the Patriots. So Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins' market isn't really going to be that high for when you can give up for him. Easily at best, when his head's in the right place, which it always is. But if he's not hurt or suspended, D Hop is usually a top 5, top 10 receiver easily in this game without a question in my mind. So I would definitely love to give up a day 3 pick if we're able to do that, or at best a day 2. But I think we can. I think if the Joneses play it right, they could give up a day 3 pick, so like a 4th, anyone through a 7th. You're not gonna get wild and get him for a 7th round pick, but if you can finagle a 4th round pick and throw in a receiver like Michael Gallup, I think you could possibly get something like that done. Or I wouldn't mind giving up a day 2 pick to get somebody like a DeAndre Hopkins, because then you won't have to, because instead of drafting a player and hoping that they develop into something special, you already will have somebody special with DeAndre Hopkins as soon as you bring him in onto this team. Now, outside of bringing a playmaker to this offense, a defensive player that I think can bolster this defense is if we go out there and we sign a guy like a Deron Payne. Deron Payne is 26 years old. His market value will bear $19.4 million annually. So obviously, I would love to get a guy like this. He's a former first round overall. He was selected in the first round, 13th overall by the Washington Commanders. He's really, really great NFL player, and especially he's one of the best interior defensive linemen up there with a Fletcher, Jerron Hargrave, Chris Jones, Jonathan Allen, his running mate right next to him that he plays with on Sundays. Deron Payne is really, really special, and I think what he brings to this team is, again, another fiery nature. He's a Bama boy. He went out, he's used to winning out there in Alabama. He didn't get a lot of experience out there winning in Dallas, but your star player, Michael Parsons, your face of your franchise, has already expressed throughout the entire Pro Bowl and Super Bowl weekend that he would love to get a guy like Deron Payne. Now, the only way for you to get Deron Payne is if the Washington Commanders don't want to place that franchise tag on him. If they don't place that franchise tag, he's easily to come out and test the market. And if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'll give him what he's asking for. He's easily going to be somebody that can help you in this run game. Then he's somebody that can help you out in the pass rush game. And I feel like that's something that we don't have, and we've been begging for the entire time. For us, I know I have, and I know a lot of people have in this space. The Dallas Cowboys have always been wanting an interior defensive lineman. Yeah, we're cool with Osa Digizua, Neville Gallimore, Jonathan Hankins, Carlos Watkins. Quentin Bohanna. We have a lot of solid guys in the interior, but it's time for us to go out and go get a difference maker, and I think that we can go do that with Deron Payne, and then you add that with a Dan Quinn-led defense. I really think this will be really, really, really nice for the Dallas Cowboys to go out and go sign. He's a difference maker. Yes, you have to spend a little bit, but who cares? Because Dallas Cowboys front office, mainly the Joneses, they stated that they'll write it's Jerry Jones said that it would be embarrassing if he told you the amount he would want to win to go win the Super Bowl. That's what he said, but his son thinks differently. But I think that Dallas Cowboys need to get out of what they normally have been doing. And, definition of insanity is doing the same over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And we're expecting different results doing the same thing that we normally been doing. We're signing our own, signing bargain basement free agents, and then trying to go out there and hit on every pick, which is impossible to do in the NFL draft. So I think you go out there, you sign Deron Payne, and they make billions of dollars, as Joneses do. They can find somebody who can easily relegate the math and figure out how we can sign Deron Payne to the money he wants, and it can fit under the cap space. I'm not even worried about cap space. Cap space is not even a real thing, because if you look at the Saints, every year they're always negative $100 million, and then next thing you pop up when the season comes, they make it underneath the cap and they keep everybody. So, and same thing with the Rams. The Rams signed everybody to big contracts in the offseason, and still this offseason is going to be able to keep most of the guys that they signed to big contracts. So obviously we know that the cap isn't really a true thing, especially if you know how to finagle it. So signing Deron Payne will work wonders for this defensive line, and it will help out a Micah, Sam Williams, everyone along that defensive line, DeMarcus Lawrence. It makes their jobs a whole lot easier, and you will have to definitely double team a guy like Deron Payne inside. And then also on the other side, then you got Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, or a mixture of those, Sam Williams, or whoever we have in. That will bring a nasty front seven for the Dallas Cowboys if we're able to do that. Along the same lines of defensive lineman, Dallas Cowboys can go out there and go see if they can sign Dalvin Tomlinson if the Minnesota Vikings doesn't want to re-sign him. You got David Onyemata. He's out of New Orleans as well. That's a really, really nice pick. 30 years old. His market, he won't ask a lot from his market as well. Another interior guy. He only will cost $9.6 million, and he's 30 years old. He's a really solid vet. And I'm pretty sure the Saints will definitely want to try and re-sign him. But if I'm Dallas Cowboys, that's somebody that I would also want to go after and go get if you cannot get Deron Payne. But I'm really hoping that we can go, obviously, strike gold and go get a Deron Payne. So another position I think Dallas Cowboys need to go out there and go get is cornerback 2. Obviously, you guys know I'm going in order of the needs of our team. It's wide receiver 2, defensive line, offensive line, interior offensive line like left guard, and cornerback 2. But cornerback 2 is definitely somebody I think the Dallas Cowboys should go out and try and dress. I understand that we do have Anthony Brown that's on the last year of his deal. He's going to be a free agent. He's 29 years old, but he's coming off of an Achilles injury that he suffered December 4th against the Colts. And then I believe also a couple years prior to that, he tore his ACL in 2019 or 2020. So I'm pretty sure the Dallas Cowboys can also re-sign him and bring him in as a depth piece. He'll be like that Orlando Scandrick type guy for our team, where he always seems to get multiple contracts from Dallas Cowboys. He'll play solid, but I think we can ultimately upgrade from that position and letting go of Anthony Brown and bringing in a guy like a Marcus Peters, which I would really love to bring in. There's been speculation around that. Marcus Peters commented on a Trayvon Diggs post, and Trayvon Diggs was like, you should come over here and play with us. And he is a free agent. He's 30 years old. So he's not entirely too old. He still has a lot of gas left in the tank. I believe he has at least another good 3 to 4 years in him that he can play at elite level football, probably even more. But his market's looking again around $10 million. They're saying 9.8 for a 2-year deal. You can possibly get him at. So if I'm Dallas, I definitely look into that. You get another veteran guy opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Marcus Peters is a gambler as well. He's definitely somebody that will turn his head around and try and play on the ball. I would love for him to be in his Dan Quinn system as well, especially since we play a lot of man, and Marcus Peters is used to playing that. And we play a little zone from time to time, but I believe that Dan Quinn, of course, will put Marcus Peters in the best place to win. Not least, one thing that I know the Dallas Cowboys need to address on defense is that inside linebacker position. I am up to the idea of bringing back a Leighton Vander Esch. I'm up for doing that as long as it's underneath the right price tag. If it's with the right price range, I'm definitely will bring him back. Nothing too crazy at all. I'll sign him to like a 3-year deal, probably $9 million. Probably can give him $3 million a year. I'm pretty sure the Dallas Cowboys can find a way within that contract where they can get out of it after a year or 2 years into the deal. In case his neck injury pops up or inconsistency within his play, we can let go of him. But then that also gives us time to look who else in the free agency pool that we can go out, we can go get. Deion Jones is an unrestricted free agent. If I'm Dallas, that's definitely somebody I would try to bring in. I don't know if the Browns are going to try and re-sign him. I think they will, because they did trade for Deion Jones, but they did give up a day 3 pick, a 4th-round pick. So I don't know if the Browns would want to re-sign him. Who knows? But, hey, Deion Jones used to play under Dan Quinn, and he's only 28 years old. So bringing him in with the Dan Quinn, who knows? We can make something shake with that. Deion Jones, you bring in Leighton Vander Esch, that frees up Michael Parsons for him to roam around and be that true chess piece that Dan Quinn loves using on this team. Levante David is somebody also that I would love to go out and go get. He's 33 years old. He's always been playing at an efficient level. He's played 1,000 snaps. He's played 17 games. The only reason why he didn't play 18 was because of that last game of the season when they were resting everybody, because they already knew where they were going to play and everything like that. And his market value is going to bring, he's 33 years old, like I already said, and Yeah, his market's going to bring that he's going to average at least 9.7 million, and they're saying that you can get him on a year deal. I think that's something Dallas Cowboys would love to do, bring him in for a year deal around that $10 million mark. I think that would work perfectly for the Dallas Cowboys. A 1 year rental, then you can obviously still draft somebody. But like I said, a lot of these moves, as to why I'm talking about why Dallas Cowboys need to go after these certain guys, is because so if you go out, go get your receiver, and you go out and you spend a little bit in free agency, it makes your draft life a whole lot easier, and you don't have to necessarily hit on every single pick. And you can just go in there. You can go in there with a level head. You don't have to go in there pressuring a pick. Because every time we pressured a pick, look at Taco, that was a pressure pick. You look at round two, that was just of 2021 with that Calvin Joseph pick. Same thing, a pressure pick. We were trying to go with upside instead of getting a surefire play like Asante Samuel. Then you go in that round, that next round, round three, we went high on Nashon Wright. Nashon Wright hasn't been what we envisioned of him to be with the Dallas Cowboys. He just hasn't turned out to be that way. So if the Dallas Cowboys just does a little bit in free agency, like I'm saying with this linebacker position, with the cornerback position, cornerback 2, wide receiver 2, this is definitely something that the Dallas Cowboys can go out and go do. So also we're not pressured into having to, we have to draft a receiver round 1, or else if we don't, we're going to be SOL. So I don't want that. I don't ever want the Dallas Cowboys to fall into that trap again like how they normally been doing. So that's why it's key that they go out there and they participate in free agency. They just do a little bit things here and there. They don't have to they don't have to be completely polar opposites of what they've been doing. And instead of spending very little money, they spend big money on all these names. You don't have to get a lot of names. You just get a few players here and there. Your one big name can be a Deron Payne. If you get an Allen Lazard, and then or Odell on a cheap deal, then you go out and go get a Levante David, or you go out and go get a Marcus Peters, and then that solidifies your board. Now you got cornerback 2. Now you're fine with Diggs, Peters, Bland, Jordan Lewis. Now if you want to go out and draft a receiver, corner later on in the draft, you can, because he has nice veterans in place like Diggs, Lewis, and Peters who play the game, so they can learn up under them. You will draft a receiver day 1 if you want, but hey, you got a lot of room to work with because you still have CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup that you're banking could possibly be something, but you can't get out of his out of his contract and then following offseason in 2024. Jalen Tolbert, he's already stated that he's going to prove to Dallas Cowboys as to why he got selected 88th overall, which I truly believe because I have a lot of high hopes for him. Then, you can go out and go draft a JSN like a Jackson Smith Njigba, or whoever the best receiver is available to you. Or who knows, you can pick the best guard, or you can pick the best running back, whether that is Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan. So that's what free agency allows you to do if you work it right and you fill it, because that's what free agency is. You fill some of your needs, then go in the draft, you go BPA, and your team comes together, and that's where you get a lot of magical runs. So finishing off the linebacker talk, Levante David is somebody that I would love to bring in. Deion Jones, I definitely would love to sign him. He's already worked with Dan Quinn. Devin Bush is another guy. He's 24, about to turn 25. His market value is going to be very cheap. He was a first-round pick by the Steelers in 2019. So if you can bring him in on a cheap deal, he's only going to average $3 million. That's definitely somebody that the Dallas Cowboys should bring in. But the only downside for him is that he's only 5'11", and the Dallas Cowboys don't really like small linebackers. So that's the one negative. But I don't care how tall you are. If you're able to go out and you're able to go play, it doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't. But for the for Dan Quinn and Mike, because Dan Quinn, he loves building basketball teams. So if everyone can at least be 6'2" or 6'1" above and on his defense, he'll love you. But I think that Devin Bush can come in here and play great ball, and who knows? This is a pick that, he balls out for us. We can potentially get a comp pick out of him, if he leaves our team. He balls out for Dallas for about a year. If we can sign him to a year deal for $3 million, a low risk, high reward type of player, he comes out, proves himself, and has a balls out with the Dallas Cowboys. We can get a comp pick, or, we might just be able to sign him to a little solid deal if we're able to do that as well. The last linebacker that I'm looking at that I wouldn't mind the Dallas Cowboys going out and go to get, obviously, is a Jayon Brown from Las Vegas. He's only on a his market is only going to bring him 1.2 million, so you can bring him in on a low deal. Same thing, low risk, high reward. And my last player is going to be Quan Alexander. Same thing, 1.3 million. He's only making vet minimum at the linebacker position. He's 29 years old. So that's definitely somebody that Dallas Cowboys should go out and go get. So yeah, man, that's about it for the video. Those are my ideas as what the Dallas Cowboys need to do. For my opinion, the positions they need to look at in free agency, and they can fill in a little key pieces here and there that can make their that can make their team a little bit better. So that's why when the draft comes, they're not pigeonholed into picking certain positions. They can go out there stress-free, draft whoever, draft the best player that comes to them at the board. Whether that is Bijan Robinson at 26, whether that's Jahmyr Gibbs, whether that let it be a JSN like a Jackson Smith, whoever that may be, a Nolan Smith out of Georgia, whoever the case might be. If Dallas Cowboys just fix a couple holes here and there in free agency, the draft will be a whole lot easier and this team will be a whole lot better. So before we hop out, I would appreciate if you guys would comment your thoughts on the video, what you think Dallas Cowboys should do and free agency, or if you don't like the Dallas Cowboys and from the names I brought up for your team, whoever your team may be, you can comment on who you think your team should go target in free agency. If you made it this far, I really, really appreciate it. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Please like the video. It helps out the algorithm. And share my video with anyone who you think might enjoy my content. See you later.